Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi, I'm Derek Van Dyke, editor and co-host of Castle Bravo, a Godzillaverse retrospective, and frequent collaborator on this network. Several folks from Certain Point of View have also guest starred on Castle Bravo, so if you like the fine folks from this network and are interested in a walk through the history and craft of Godzilla movies, give it a shot. But as for today, on this particular side quest, I'd like to talk to you about Super Robot Wars 30. Do you like giant robots? If you don't like giant robots, just go ahead and cut this episode short because nothing I have to say to you is really going to matter. I mean that in, like, the broadest possible sense. I could give you the recipe for my famous lamb burgers and it wouldn't matter because you lack the spirit necessary to recreate them due to you not really liking giant robots. Okay, cool. You're still here. We can do this. I couldn't tell you why I love giant robots. It just feels like a default. I mean, robots are inherently cool. Make them giant? You're speaking my language. As a little kid, Mechagodzilla and the Power Rangers Megazord were just the coolest shit imaginable. Then Toonami came along and after school Derek got hit with the weapons-grade Fent that was Gundam Wing. I think from there I was just doomed. Weirdly, I don't think Gundam Wing holds up as well as my original memories of it, but you can't deny those are some cool-ass robots. Death Scythe and Heavy Arms probably rewired my brain chemistry. I don't know if chicks dig giant robots, but I sure the fuck do. Super Robot Wars is an extremely long-running strategy RPG series dating all the way back to the original Game Boy, which at its inception mashed together three of the most famous and noteworthy franchises in mecha anime history: Go Nagai's Mazinger Z, Ken Ishikawa's Getter Robo, and Yoshiyuki Tomino's Mobile Suit Gundam. If you've played any Japanese-developed strategy RPG before, something like Final Fantasy Tactics or the Fire Emblem series, you know what you're getting into gameplay-wise. Battles take place in turns on a grid-based map, with the story playing out in visual novel-style format before, during, and after battles, and then team management in the intermissions. The series would quickly open up to crossing over all manner of giant robot anime and even some original characters and designs, with longtime series developer band Presto settling into a rhythm of frequent new, mostly standalone releases that usually featured some new original protagonist in a world in conflict written to contain some combination of famous mecha anime shows. It's a formula you can kind of rinse and repeat forever as long as there are new mecha shows coming out and old ones you haven't yet done anything with. And Bandai Namco never runs out of anime they can dig up and license for games. Unfortunately, you'll probably never be able to play most of these older games. These crossovers have historically been a licensing nightmare, a major additional barrier on top of the translation and localization costs that have kept the series locked pretty firmly into the Asian market. Two originals-only titles did famously make their way to the Game Boy Advance in the West as Super Robot Tyson Original Generation and Original Generation 2, and there are fan translation patches for a couple of games. But broadly speaking, this was a series most folks only learned about in rare corners of the internet or YouTube videos showing flashy attack animation compilations. My introduction to the series comes with those two Game Boy Advance games, before I even knew that they were spin-offs of a larger franchise. They're probably some of my favorite games on the GBA, which felt like a real haven for RPGs in general. However, they weren't incredibly popular, maybe due to poor or non-existent marketing or limited print runs. I'm not a GBA historian, but the games didn't do great, and as a result, even future Original Generations games wouldn't make it over to the US anymore. This began to change back in 2017 with the release of Super Robot Wars V. V was the first crossover game in the series to receive an official English language release, though only in the Asian markets. The move was pretty transparent. Bandai Namco was willing to try releasing the games in English and see how well the move paid off without having to actually do the work of untangling the licensing knots required for a true worldwide release. This trend would continue with V's spiritual sequels, Super Robot Wars X and T, which also saw the series dip their toes into multi-platform releases, the PC market, and including series from broader non-mecha sci-fi and fantasy where thematically appropriate. And it worked. In a global market era, it took minimal effort to import these English language copies and play them on a US console, netting significant additional sales for each game. With the series' 30th anniversary on the horizon, Bandai Namco committed to going big. Super Robot Wars 30 would be a celebration of an already celebratory franchise. Expand the series' scope by playing with a more open-ended progression structure and major additions through DLC, and it would see an Honest to Gundam official release on Steam in the United States, alongside the now standard English multi-platform versions in Asia. For the first time in history, you could buy a mainline Super Robot Wars game on a US storefront, no asterisks attached. Super Robot Wars 30 puts players in charge of original protagonist Edge or as St. Claus, depending on whether you picked a masculine or feminine protagonist, who, in true mecha anime fashion, basically falls into the cockpit of a cool-ass giant robot, joins up with a bunch of other young people on a super cool giant warship with a top-secret mission to save the world. You know the assignment. This team, officially named Drykreuz, will hop around the world recruiting heroes and anti-heroes while fighting off alien invasions and fascist regimes and evil super scientists and remixing major plot elements and beats from these featured series. If you're not into anime's trend of gratuitous German names for things, or Drykreuz just doesn't roll off the tongue, you can name the team anything you want. I named them G-Unit. I always name the teams in Super Robot Wars G-Unit. It's a personality flaw of mine. Super Robot Wars 30 has a ton of different mechanics and variables that all play into combat. Different units have different distances they can move and different strengths and weaknesses, different attacks and skills, work better on certain types of terrain. There are honestly more individual gameplay mechanics here than most people will ever keep track of, and the good news is that you don't really need to properly juggle every single one of them to find success. Between terrain ratings, defensive options, different pilot and mech stats, spirit commands, EX commands, unique abilities, different weapon properties, the supporter system, which is not the same as the support attack and defense system, upgrading mechs, attaching gameplay-altering parts, leveling up functions of the main ship. There's just a lot, but it's okay. Most Super Robot Wars games are built to be broken wide open by the player. You don't really need a guide to get to the end of the game, and you don't need to min-max. It's all about having fun. And there's a lot of fun in the game. There's so much love and exuberance in the way the game lovingly animates these flashy attack sequences, and it remixes famous musical motifs from the shows, and tries to fit all of these series and their frequently clashing tones and art styles into the same world. It's official mecha anime crossover fanfiction, straight from AO3 to your game, and it's kind of incredible for being that. I'm presuming most casual anime fans will probably only know a couple of series that are featured here. Gundam, Code Geass, Ultraman's a given, Gridman's recent and popular, so that won't feel like a deep cut. I think Magic Knight Rayearth was big enough at the time that, again, casual anime fans may at least recognize it. But unless you're a mecha anime freak, a lot of these will probably be brand new to you. Who the fuck watched Knights in Magic? Not me. As I told a friend recently who started one of these games, this doesn't mean you won't enjoy Super Robot Wars, but it might mean you walk away with like 6 more shows to watch. This 80+ hour strategy RPG doesn't come with homework, it comes with recommendations. RIP your backlog. I haven't fully jumped into the newly released Super Robot Wars Y yet, which saw the series' first worldwide multi-platform release. Although I will note that some changes to the presentation do make it seem more approachable to series newcomers. I'll admit, I'm waiting for those 2 DLC packs to drop before I dig into Y. 30 already has all its DLC out, and it integrates into the story as you play it if you haven't finished the game yet, which is a major point for checking out 30 right now. But I highly recommend Super Robot Wars 30 to folks who enjoy games like Fire Emblem and also enjoy the occasional anime. It's okay, you can admit it here. Nobody has to know. I think folks who already enjoy these shows are an obvious target, but to be honest, I'd never watched a lot of the featured series in 30, and I still had a pretty great time and made some new faves. I can't help you much if you don't like giant robots, though. Seek help. Thank you for coming with me on this side quest. Happy gaming!
So Many Games is an independent video game website from a group of passionate people. With a team of over 10 writers doing their bit for game discoverability, you'll surely find a game that will pique your interest. Our reviews delve into the main elements of the game and how they made us feel. With unbased but fair critique and AI-free writing, we hope to offer you a safe place to find out if a game is worthy of your time. But we also write articles from Steam Next Fest catch-ups to topics of interest from the gaming world. And we also publish written interviews from developers to voice actors on our bid to shine some light on the people behind our favourite games. But that's not all, as we also offer a monthly podcast interviewing developers, artists, composers, voice actors, and anyone else we can think of to come and talk about their experiences of making their latest or not so latest projects in real time. With a fortnightly newsletter to go on top of our offerings, there really is something for everybody. So what are you waiting for? Get on over to somanygames.co.uk and see for yourself all the amazing content that we have waiting for you.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.